What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I am your host. I am Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today I'm joined by someone whose work has probably impacted your supplement stack more than you even realize. Dave Rynecki is the Director of Research and Development for Crush It Brands, the company behind Core Nutritionals, Unmatched Supplements, and Miracle Labs. And if you follow me, then you know I love these brands and I review a lot of their products. He's responsible for taking products from an idea on a whiteboard all the way to the finished tub sitting on the store shelf. But this conversation isn't just about supplements. We dive into what it actually takes to build products people can trust, why innovation is so much harder than consumers realize, the balance between science, flavor, branding, and experience, and the career decision that completely changed Dave's life, from waking up at 2 a.m. every day as a personal trainer to leading innovation for one of the industry's most respected brands. If you've ever wondered what happens behind the scenes of sports nutrition, or if you're standing at a crossroads in your own career, this episode is packed with lessons you can apply immediately. So let's get into it. Hey, Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Absolutely. The Zoom meeting said, this meeting is being recorded, and it said it in a really weird voice that I wasn't anticipating. So I came into this podcast laughing, but a good conversation was had before this too. But for all the people who are listening, tell them who you are, what you do. Obviously, you're in the supplement space, sports nutrition, but who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Dave Rynecki. I'm the Director of R&D for Crush It Brands. So that incorporates Core Nutritionals, Miracle Labs, and Unmatched supplements with Chris Gethin. And then we do a whole bunch of other things here as well. We have 2 gyms called Crush It Coliseum. We have physical therapy clinics here called Crush It Athletics and PT. We are a part of Nova Prime Labs. And then Doug owns 10 retail stores in the Virginia area and then one down here in North Carolina. But my role is the Director of R&D. So all the product innovation, I do a little bit on the marketing side with graphics and things like that, but mostly in the R&D and innovation side.
Nice. I always forget about Miracle Labs.
Yeah, it's one that it's a fun brand that we keep around. We just haven't really innovated there. The last product we did was the 1776, and that did well. It's just Core and Unmatched just take up a lot more time, effort, and energy. But we keep Miracle Labs around just because it's a super fun brand to work on. You can get away with a lot more on that brand just due to the nature of it. And if you want to push your limits on caffeine and things of that nature, it's a brand that we can still do. But yeah, we haven't really done a whole lot for that brand as of late, and for all good reasons why. But
Yeah, 1776, that was a pre-workout, correct? That was literally in a protein jug, basically, it looked like.
yeah. 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 I went to manufacturing with a specific purpose. I was like, hey, I want to do a 100 serving pre-workout and kind of sticking with the Miracle Labs theme. Let's make it 17.76 grams. It'll be 100 servings, 1.776 pounds or whatever it turned out to be. And let's put it in a pre-workout tub. But really the concept started is because the guy that does the graphics for those labels, it's super detailed. If you look at the Oregon Defender or Liberty Balls or something like that, you don't really get a big canvas to work on. You're talking 3 inches tall, and you might have a little bit more room to wrap around. But I was like, I want to give you more to work with and give you more ability to put Easter eggs and stuff like that. So I was like, let me give you I think it's like a 5x17 or 7x17 or whatever it is, and work within that. So he was like, great, I got a good concept. I'm going to put all 50 presidents or all 47 presidents on there and do all these little Easter eggs. We'll have the Mount Rushmore, and you got Taft Man, and you got Joe Biden with his ice cream and stuff like that, and Obama flying the drone. And it was super fun. And you could sit there and literally look at that bottle and probably spend a good 10 or 15 minutes and probably not find every single little detail, but that was a fun one to put together. And we made it intended for the purpose of being a double scoop type of product. So even from a value perspective, you get 100 servings and it's $100. When you could double scoop that, and even when you look at the formula for 2 scoops, okay, this is a $2 product. You get a lot of value for what's in it for sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool to have a bunch of different brands under that same Crush It umbrella, and they're all doing different things in the space. Miracle Labs is more fun, but still legit formulas and everything. Core, I feel, is just your everyday gym goer and kind of can go into all different branches. And then the Unmatched is like the biohacker. Do you find that having all of these different brands that you're working with, does it get confusing or is it pretty seamless?
It used to get a little bit more confusing. So taking a step back, we used to have 5 brands under our umbrella. So we used to have Arms Race Nutrition and then Mile Block. And Arms Race and Core and I guess really Mile Blocks, those 3 brands shared some similarities. They all had different aspects about them that made them a little bit different, whether it was branding or using a certain blend of ingredient within this type of product or whatever the case may be. So now that we dwindled it down to those 3 brands, like we were talking about before, like all good reasons why we had to let those brands go. Now it's a little bit easier to streamline how we do things. I know in my head, if I'm going to make a product for Core, I know what it's going to look like ultimately. I know what the limitations are and some of the things that we can do on the unmatched side. And then America Labs has its own little avenue, like more streamlined in the pre-workout sector. And it's a minimum of 400 milligrams of caffeine. Core will never hit 400 milligrams of caffeine. That's just there. But yeah, now they have their own little channels that they work in, and then we innovate. Whether it's in the same category, we know what those products are going to look like, and it's like Unmatched can innovate in certain areas that Core never will. Core can innovate in certain areas that Unmatched never will, and then they some can blend together. So it's gotten a lot easier now that we only have those 3 brands for sure.
Yeah, it definitely helps to, bring it more into one single scope. Now, when it comes down to each brand, can you give a brief description of what each brand does and what the mission of each brand is?
Yeah, so Core is by far the longest tenured brand. That brand started back in 2004. So I guess 2004 technically, 2005 was really when the first product came out. Core MRP was the first product that Doug ever did, which is still in the line today. And then now it has over, I think we're probably close to 200 SKUs or maybe a little bit more than that. 2020 was a big year for us from an innovation side. That was when we did a pretty heavy rebrand, changed from black labels to white labels. We innovated in categories like greens and vegan and lifeline and stuff like that. So 2020 was a big year for Core, but really the focus of that brand is still what kind of got it put on the map before was no proprietary blends, real full disclosure on every single thing that's within that. Even I think you guys have done some pieces on it before. If you look at the protein tubs, we're actually telling you how many grams of protein are coming from each source of protein that's within it, just to give the consumer a little bit more, I guess, ease of okay, what's actually in this tub is what's there, and it's not just half the amount of protein and then they're spiking it with other things. So they're full transparency within that, no artificial colors, and we're only using the best of the best ingredients that are within the industry there. We put a lot of time and effort into those formulas and they are a premium nature, but Core is a brand that can be used by anybody. Gen Pop, your top athletes, your Olympians, your really you name it, even from a kid's side. There's a lot of kids that will use it too, or just younger athletes in general. So Core is going to span a wide variety of users in the space. So it's not really for one particular individual.
Mhm.
America
I do.
Labs is
I would always like to say that Core's protein, the blend that you guys do, it's one of my favorite protein blends on the market for the reason that it is fully transparent. I know exactly how much of each protein is in there, as well as the amino acid breakdown. But the flavors are also phenomenal. And I go on your website, I almost get overwhelmed by the amount of flavors, and you guys keep dropping one each month. And I'm just like, okay, more for me.
yeah, we're doing that this year. So there is a flavor coming out every month this year. So we technically started in I think it was December with the holiday sugar cookie. We just blended that as like this is our January one. But we are doing that this year. It's how the protein market is right now, and it just makes it significantly harder. So we had to move a little bit quicker on the R&D aspect of getting those flavors approved and ordered, and we actually have them all, I'm pretty sure, in the warehouse now, which is good. But it makes it difficult even going forward. Do we want to do that? Do we not? Even with where protein prices are, it's something that is a pretty low barrier to entry from a understanding perspective for the consumer. We like the consumer knows what protein is, they know what creatine is, and things like that. And if you're going to get somebody started on a regimen moving forward, it's usually okay. Get a good quality protein powder, get a creatine, maybe get a pre workout, something like that. But from a flavor side of things, yeah, the blend that we use is super. It lends itself to great flavors, great mixability, great mouthfeel, texture, and it's something that we won't really ever deviate from that blend. Even with where prices are, it's just something that like from a quality perspective, you're just going to lessen the quality if you change it. So it's a 50% concentrate, 25% isolate, and 25% milk isolate. So it just works very well and it's super simple and people enjoy it.
Yeah, and it kind of hits on all things for me, which is the formula is great. The flavor is phenomenal. And then the branding, I just love your simplicity of branding. But from a flavor perspective, I don't think people understand how difficult it is to just get flavors approved and move things through. And the fact that you guys have a flavor coming out each month it kind of blows my mind to like how fast you guys are doing that. But I guess you probably put a lot of planning into this.
Yeah, we do it. We try to do it in chunks of, say we wanted to do it for next year. I pretty much have a list already put together of things for next year that we would want to do. Some are approved, some aren't approved, and it's just how fast we work. We do work pretty quickly on an R&D perspective, and we work with great partners that turn the samples out really fast. Their labs are great. That's why we like partnering with who we partner with. But yeah, it's just random ideas that comes. Hey, that'd be a good flavor to try, and let's see where they go. The funny part about it is when we did the airplane cookies and cream flavor, it was like I make snacks for the office, the protein squares and protein balls and stuff like that. So I was just in my kitchen one day. I was like, let's just put this together. I think I came back from a trip and I was like, I got these Biscoff cookies from Delta or whatever, and I got cookies and cream. Hey, let's try this. And they were like, hey, this is really good. And I was like, let's just do it as a protein. Let's do it as a protein powder. And we put that in the queue and it came out amazing. And it's probably the most popular one that we've launched this year. So it's just these random ideas that come and are like, hey, that'd be a great protein powder. On the other side, what is in your head is this would be a great flavor. It doesn't always replicate into a good tasting protein at the end of the day. If you know from the last 2 years, we did something for April Fool's Day. We did the chicken and waffles 2 years ago. We did the hydrate this past year. I was really trying to do something for April Fool's Day this year. And I was like, all right, let's do a bowberry biscuit or a honey butter cornbread or something like that. And we just couldn't get it right. And it was just like, I got to throw in the towel. I don't want to wait. I hate wasting material and time and stuff like that. And I was like, if we're not getting anywhere close after maybe 2 tries, I'm like, okay, let's change this up. But what's in your head is like, this sounds great, doesn't always replicate into a great tasting protein. And that goes for any product. Pills are
Mhm.
so much easier to formulate because there's no
Oh,
flavor.
yeah.
But from a powder perspective, it's just got to hit on certain notes. And some of the difficulty, even with great tasting things, going back to cost, is just sometimes not even the cost of the protein or the powder itself is what drives the cost. It's just the intricacy of the flavors that go into it. If you're trying to compound 4, 5, or 6 different flavors into one powder, it can be several dollars more than a standard peanut butter or something like that. So
Mhm.
it's a fun game that you play with it. You can get as creative as you want. I use protein powder as a blank canvas to lend itself to some creativity, and then who knows where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think protein is definitely an area where you can be more creative just because it's easier to flavor a protein than it is, say, all these ingredients that are in pre workouts. Some of them are harder to flavor than others. Do you
Yeah.
find that it's more difficult to do pre workouts or proteins, or what do you find is the most difficult thing to formulate when it comes to core?
Really from the proteins are what they are. That's never going to really change. Like you said,
Yeah.
like that blend is going to stay the same. The blend for MRP is going to stay the same. Pudding is going to stay the same. We did in or are innovating on a newer like mixable food product like in that category that's launching on July 4th. So I don't know when this goes up, but it's an overnight oats type of product. So where everybody's doing like a cream of rice, it just didn't fit with the brand to do a cream of rice. Like Doug doesn't really eat cream of rice. He does oats and he does
Yeah.
MRP and stuff like that. So okay, great. Let's innovate here and we can make something that's not really known. Like those products are pretty easy to flavor because they're dessert, decadent, like a chocolate is a chocolate. It's now there are different degrees of that, but I'd say pre-workouts are probably the most difficult to flavor and formulate for the flavor. Just like you said, it's you have to understand the actives and how they're going to react and so on and so forth. And even ingredients at lot to lot can throw off a flavor. You have to know where to tick up, whether it's flavor intensity or sweetness or sourness and acid and stuff like that, or what maskers to use. So I'd say more from a pre-workout standpoint, like those are definitely the hardest ones to formulate for a great tasting flavor. And we've gotten pretty deep on sampling with certain products to where it's just like, okay, we got to go a different direction. And it's like the same thing. A formula on paper is one thing, but just know like you have to know like in this space or in my position, like how is that ingredient going to affect the overall experience of the product? Is it going to be super heavy? Is it very high risk of clumpiness? Is it very earthy? Is it like what are the what are the notes of it? And then on the flip side, is there an alternative that can do the same thing that is a little bit more neutral for that particular formula that you're trying? So like where the industry's gone, like when Core launched in 2020 or 2005, it was very different. It was like, okay, I don't care what it tastes like. If it's effective, if it works, like that's all I care about, like hardcore. Yeah. Now the consumer is more flavor focused first. And you still have that niche of people that are like, I really just care about the formula and whatever. But the way that labs and how technology is advanced and new things are coming out, like you could achieve both things, but you have to know how to do it. But I'd say from the pre-workout side, that and like fat burners are probably the hardest things. But that's just when you know, okay, this product isn't really gonna lend itself useful to a powder. Like it can work in a capsule or another format, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's the burn product that you guys just had came out with that
Mhm.
I have it for a review later. So I have everything done. I've done the breakdown. It's a very impressive formula. So something that I now don't really see too much in a fat burner because I'm not a big fat burner person because clearly I'm not using a fat burner. And I feel like a lot of people lean on it more heavily than, hey, let's just look at your habits first versus, oh, what
Yeah,
supplement
yeah.
can I take? But I was really
Yep.
impressed with the flavoring, like Australian gummy snakes and stuff like that. So I know that like when you say with proteins, you kind of just, oh, let's mix this and this together and see if it works. When it comes to pre-workouts, are you looking at the market or are you looking more into what you guys think will work?
Yeah, depending on the market that we're trying to penetrate, really. If we're formulating something specifically for, say, the Middle East or Mexico or something like that, we do stay on top of those trends. But then certain markets just gravitate more towards certain flavors. Me personally, my when I'm thinking to do flavors, I like to get a little bit not wild and crazy, but I like to do things that are not necessarily the norm. But
Hmm.
sometimes when you deviate too far from the norm, it scares people away. But me,
Hmm.
I personally, I just don't get excited about a blue raz and a fruit punch. It is what it is. They
I
taste
feel that.
great, but I'm just like, okay, it's a blue raz and a fruit punch. Throw some, I don't know, lemon in your blue raz or orange in your blue raz, like spice it up a little bit. But
Mhm.
those markets, it's like blue raz, fruit punch, peach mango. I'm like, all right, we'll do orange, blue raz, fruit punch, peach mango. Like it is what it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, like we do look at a lot of that, and because at the end of the day, it's you want the product to be successful, and like I said, what really sells the product first is it's got to look and taste amazing, and then it's got to be effective, and it's got to actually do what it says it's going to do. So that's part of the reason why we updated our branding or started to transition to update our branding was our white labels, like they're great, they're high end, you get the
Mhm.
rainbow effects and stuff like that, but we can make these look as amazing as they taste. And it just lends itself more into, okay, this tastes amazing, or this looks like it tastes amazing, and then it actually tastes amazing, and that's what keeps a customer coming back.
Yeah, and that's
So
a big thing that people don't think about is that if I'm looking at a shelf full of different products, I want something that's going to catch my eye or catch the consumer's eye so that they can be like, oh, that looks like it's going to taste good based on how it looks on the shelf versus something that just kind of looks like crappy or low end.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we put a lot of time and effort into the branding side of things, and we do look at a lot of different metrics and do a lot of comp analysis on what's out there in the market, even from a call out perspective and buzzwords, all those things that go back into marketing, even just from like shelf presence and how things look on a shelf, doing bags for certain products and keeping things as tubs, and do we do cylinder bottles instead of the general bottles that have a neck and things like that. So we've looked at a lot of certain things. We've taken a lot of feedback from the partners that we work with, whether it's international or domestic, and that's gone into just kind of how we've progressed over the years. Even like on the Unmatched side, we've kind of lightened up the branding a little bit on certain products to fit that longevity base. So like any product that says longevity or has a longevity focus is now going to be white, more clinical, and then the more hardcore types of products are going to stay black. So you have a little bit of differentiation because with things that are all black, it's okay, that's got to be super intense, it's got to be this, but a product like stem cell, for instance, there's nothing really intense about it. It's all about health and recovering from the inside and longevity. So it's a little bit more clinical. Let's make that white.
Mhm.
So there's some things that we're doing now to just improve the overall visual aspects of the brand.
Yeah. Now, as far as Unmatched goes, what's the mission and the drive behind that brand? What makes a product Unmatched versus something that you would do for Core?
So Unmatched has a scope of it. The way that we say it is it bridges the gap between hardcore bodybuilding, because between Doug and Chris has competed. He's done Ironmans and all this other stuff. Doug's obviously a world champion bodybuilder, but then it's very focused on the longevity aspect, the biohacking, being able to continue to do the things that you're doing now continuously as you age. So it bridges that gap between hardcore bodybuilding and athletics, as well as being able to, we'll just say, age gracefully and be able to continue to do those things. And that's, it really fits with where both of Doug and Chris are at within their lives. Chris he still trains, like he still does his things, but it's not like he used to. He's had injuries and stuff like that. And then Doug obviously still trains hard and trains every single day, but now it's more, I got to be able to do other things like coach baseball, and I want to wakeboard and stuff like that. So it's more than just being in the gym. But really, between like Core and Unmatched, will never have caffeine in the line. So that's one thing. And Unmatched is exclusively naturally sweet. It's pretty much the biggest things. And then there's certain ingredients that we'll probably never really entertain or use within the Unmatched line, or there's certain ingredients that we want to really focus on in that line. Like Unmatched is leaning very heavily into peptides and natural peptides. Obviously, things vasodrive, there's Pepti Pump, Pepti Sleep, that sort of thing. So really trying to find that longevity angle in products that are still products that you would probably find in Core. Let's make a sleep aid, but how can we increase the longevity focus within that product? Let's do a multi-pack. But it's so Core has daily health pack, and it's got omega, your multi, all these sorts of things. But then let's make longevity multi for Unmatched, and let's use 100% methylated vitamins, and let's include a longevity capsule within that, and let's include mitoprime and all this other stuff. Same thing with collagen peptide 6. That product was super fun to make because it's okay, everybody does 5 collagen types. We found this unique fish source that has an additional one, so collagen peptide 6. But let's add the mitoprime, let's add the other cosmetic components to it. It's different than Core's collagen indulgence that tastes great, but is just bovine. Let's put eggshell, let's put fish, let's put bovine in here, and then let's put a hefty amount of vitamin C, the biotin, like all that stuff in there. Let's include it in here. So two similar products, but they do different things depending on what that individual is looking for.
Yeah, I'm a huge person who loves, I get nerdy about the formulas, and that's why I really love doing videos on Unmatched or really deep diving on products, because one thing that I really love is that you guys have a downloadable PDF for each product to be like, "Oh, this is exactly what each ingredient does. Here are the research that goes behind it." So that not only do you know exactly what's in this and what's going into it, but you know the research behind it and why everything is used. And I think that's so powerful because for me, I like to know not only what's in what I'm using, but why am I using it? Because I feel so many
Yeah.
people take supplements and half of them don't even know why they're actually using it.
Yeah, 100%. The education barrier with Unmatched is a lot higher. And it is a very educated consumer anyway, and they ask a lot of questions, which is great. So those consumers that have followed Chris for years from the days when he was at Cage, that now they're consumers of Unmatched. And just from the like he and I will do say a live call with our ambassadors, or we'll do Instagram lives or whatever. They ask a lot of great questions, and just even within customer service, it's people are like, there's just a lot of great questions that consumer asks that may not really get from the Core side. So it is a different crowd, but they really do take they are very interested in the whys of certain things, which is how it should be. Like, I want to
Mhm.
know why I'm taking this product and how does it work and things like that. So that's why we do the videos and the full science breakdowns. They take a lot of time, and I'm sure people, like maybe the 5 people that read them is fine, but that those 5 people, at least now they know all that stuff. And it's always there as a reference just to have. That way the consumer doesn't necessarily always have to go out and search for everything. It's all there. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, as a consumer, do your own research. As a brand, we can't give every single answer depending on what it is. It's do your own research, but here's a great resource for it. But then if you want to learn more, like there's other studies that are out there as well. Like we had to do that with creatine, just with some of the things that fell out, because it's a completely new ingredient for the
Mhm.
market when we came out with it. But then after understanding and why it's formulated the way that's formulated, people understand why it's there. And it's not knocking regular creatine monohydrate. It's just simply saying, hey, this is another option for somebody that maybe regular creatine monohydrate at that dosage doesn't work for them, or maybe they want a little bit more efficient source. So I say the same thing with like dileucine.
Hmm.
Like regular leucine is great. There's
Yep.
nothing wrong with it. But here, if you want a little bit more effective source and you double the amount of the effects, here's the option. And those two products do extremely well for us.
What are some of the what are some of your favorite products that you formulated for Unmatched and Core? I know it might be hard to choose like from your children.
Yeah. So I think with Unmatched, as simple as it is, like I think Cognishot was probably a fun product to work on, just because it is a different product for the brand. It's the first liquid product that Unmatched has done. But like Mark and his team, they came down and visited. We've been looking at BHB for a while to incorporate into something. But the way that product came together, it was like I think it checked all the boxes as far as what Chris was really looking for. Because he'll pester me all the time. I don't want any more capsules. I can't take any more capsules. And I'm like, okay, like I don't expect you to take every single thing that the brand has. Maybe there's certain products that you just don't need. But the way that he operates and promotes and to like the way that his following is, it's if he's gonna talk about it, he's gonna take it. And I'm just maxed out on the amount of capsules that I can take or whatever. He's like, I'd much rather do powders and gummies and liquids and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, we wanted to work on a focus based type of product that was non-stim that incorporated things that he's used over the years, which is like BHB and stuff like that. But then it had these other components to it like neuroplasticity and focus and BDNF and NGF, and you get the BHB and the energy stuff like that. So that product was super fun. And then I think the other one, trying to think. I'm always a sucker for protein bars, but protein bars they are what they are. But the Unmatched bar is great. It's a great tasting bar that will come out like at the Olympia, so
Okay.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah,
So
September.
that was fun. And then I think the other one for Unmatched, oh man, Unmatched, probably the new non-stim pre that is gonna take the place of Dissident. That's probably one of my favorites. It's a peptide focused non-stim pre. But like I was saying before, like experience matters. And what we found with Dissident was as great as a formula as it was, one, it was way too expensive for like the just the product itself was way too expensive from a formula standpoint. And then it had its heaviness and in certain issues and mixability and stuff like that. So we were able to make a product that was a little bit easier to mix. It's a little bit lighter, it's a better experience, and it tastes great. And like me personally, I prefer non-stims, and I was able to use some different peptides within it that aren't really out yet that I know of. So I'd say those are probably the most fun ones to work on so far. That's the thing with Unmatched. Like there's probably 6 or 7 other products that are in the works right now that are on hold because we have to get through the rest of the year. It's like we got to pump the brakes just a little bit, but they're still getting worked on in the back end.
Yeah, no, you guys have had a big year at Unmatched. I feel like you're dropping like a lot of really innovative products, like one after the other. Even just the whey protein isolate, like really good whey protein isolate that's not artificially flavored and usually natural sweeteners. Really, I'm not a big fan of. They're just very bitter to me. But I honestly can't tell that it's stevia sweetened. They're really great.
Yeah, there's a special, we'll just say secret sauce within the formulas that kind of cuts through some of that bitterness and is a great masking agent for the typical taste profile that stevia gives.
Yeah. I feel like everything that you guys do under Crush It is done with intent and purpose, which is, I hate to say that it is rare in the industry. It's becoming less rare in the industry, but it still is pretty rare, which is why I really love your brand and what you're doing. But how long have you personally been working there?
So I started January 2020.
Okay.
So I was a personal trainer for 10 years prior. So I worked in gyms like Snap Fitness and Golds and Lifetime and stuff like that. So I worked up to I worked up to head personal training manager at a couple clubs and then kind of found my niche within an assistant role at those clubs as a guy that onboards new members into the club and sets them up on their pathway moving forward there, and then coaching the other trainers there. So I was doing that for 10 years, and then it just got to a point where I would have to wake up at 1 to go train myself, to have a first client at 5. So it's like I
Mhm.
would train from 2 to 4. I would get ready and eat and check my emails from like 4 to 5, train from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then go home, wash, rinse, repeat, that sort of thing. And from a lifestyle perspective, like it just wasn't really all that good. Now without having a kid and stuff like that, it's a little bit more manageable, but it just got to a point where yeah, the money was good, but like I was just burned out on it from that perspective. And not that I disliked any of my clients. It's just like the same, like I was the same clients all the time.
Yeah.
They just want to come work out with you. It's not that they weren't progressing. It's like they just want to
Yep.
pay you to work out with them. Okay, this is what it is.
No, I
So
totally get it. That's
I
actually,
was,
I did that for the majority of my career. I was a personal trainer, moved up to like assistant fitness manager. So I lived
yeah,
that life. So I totally understand. It's great, but dang, it burns you out quite
yeah,
quickly, especially when you're trying to
yeah,
take care of your own
exactly.
health too. But when you don't have a family or you don't have anything else other than yourself, it's a lot easier. But I totally get the client coming in at 7 a.m. every single time just to work
Yep,
out, just almost to have somebody to
every
talk
single.
to, I feel like.
Yeah, every single time. So, yeah, they were like Patrick and Doug. Like I had trained at, there was a Golds that was up there that I trained at every so often. So, like I knew of them just within the natural bodybuilding space and competing and stuff like that. So, I was a consumer of the brand previously. It's funny looking back at old like pictures and whatever. And yeah, that old tub and that old black tub or that Fury label that just doesn't really look all that good. Seeing all that stuff, it's man, that wasn't really all that long ago either. But so they were kind of not like they were kind of recruiting me to come on and do some customer service stuff. I think this was right before Arms Race had launched, and it just wasn't the right time for me to leave the job that I was at. So I was like, I'll think about it, but got a pass. Did that for a little bit, and then I think it was like the end of 2019 or something like that. Got approached again, and I was like, really got to think about it hard this time. And because it's like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. Like I said, I was making good money, but the amount that you're working for the money that you're making, it's okay, where's the place where you kind of draw the line? It's like I can't take on any more clients. Like I literally can't work anymore. It's like I
Mhm.
kind of hit my ceiling there. And I was doing more than an assistant manager should at that position anyway. I thought about it again. I was like, okay, I'll take the leap. I'll leave Lifetime. I stayed on as a part-time person. Like I had 3 clients or whatever that was like five, 6, and 7. And then I would leave there and go to the office from like 8 to, and then get there at 9, basically. So I got hired as a customer service manager for Arms Race. That was it. Progressed through that. And then lo and behold, COVID shut everything down. Wasn't training, couldn't train at Lifetime. We were still able to work. So a couple months went by and I was like, I just can't go back to training. So that was for lack of better terms, COVID was the blessing that kind of got me out of personal training.
Yeah, same for me.
But it was
Literally
like, it
the
was a
same.
great thing. Yeah. Yeah. So then I had a sales background. So it was like, okay, let's get you into some wholesale. So like I was doing customer service for Arms Race and Core and then doing sales. Did that for a while. And then like I just found a niche within like the R&D side of things. So like the Lifeline was like the first project that I started, put all that together, saw it through to that finish line and stuff like that. And then I just found my niche within the R&D side of things. So I even coming down here, like I still held a decent amount of clients from a wholesale side, but now I just weaved into now I just do R&D, compliance, regulatory, that sort of thing. And it's fun because I get a ton of samples. Like I get to sample a bunch. I get to see the project from the start to the finish. I work with our graphic designer to do the labels. I work with all the label manufacturers and stuff like that. So I literally see the project from the Excel sheet to the manufacturing to it getting in the warehouse. And then it's working with all the interpersonal teams that are here from sales, making sure they have what they need from an education standpoint, making sure the product is actually here, making sure it is what it is and tastes good, all that stuff. And then working on the marketing or with the marketing team to make sure they have their tools and assets and things like that. And then on the side, like I'm in like ChatGPT doing like graphics and stuff like that. I'm like, just let me toy around with this tool here. And you can make some pretty decent graphics and stuff like that with renders and all that stuff. But yeah, I just found my niche within the R&D side of things and been doing it for 6.5 years now. And it's great. Live it like I'm doing what I really enjoy. And that's really the biggest thing. Like I went to school for physical therapy and I was going to do that. I have a master's in rehab science and all that. And when I was training, that was where like my clientele gravitated towards was more the rehab side. But that's like I've learned more in the that 6.5 years about what I do, and probably wouldn't have learned that in 8 years of grad school.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to take opportunities that you believe could be really good for you, even though it's not necessarily in the same path. It's in fitness and health, but it wasn't personal training or physical therapy, but it was something that you never know. And you've grown so much and now you love what you do.
It's like with being in the bodybuilding space and whatnot, like you're always trying to at least when I was like in high school and college, it was like, I really want to latch on with a brand and get connected
Mhm.
with a brand and stuff like that. And really, some of the best things is working with a brand. So it's kind of like a dream job in that regard. You may be looking for sponsorships and stuff like that, but being able to work with the brand or within the brand it was an opportunity that, like I said, I couldn't really pass a second time. And it COVID was a driving force for me to say, yeah, let me take that leap a little bit. Even though I committed to it before, I kind of pushed myself to the brink of like, I can't really do more within this job that I'm currently at. And like, at least with what I'm in right now, like, it's not the same exact thing every single day. I get asked that question all the time. What's your typical day like? One day I could be tied to my computer because we're working on a product that we just got to get done. And the other days is filled with talking with manufacturers and moving things along. Other days, maybe I'm moving gym equipment or have to go pack boxes in the back or go to an event or something like that. So it's always something different. And I've met a lot of great people just from the retail side, people like that we've worked with over the years, like you and the other team or the rest of the team at Price Plow and Fitness Informant and all the vendors that we work with, stuff like that. I've been able to have some great relationships with people within the space that in personal training, you're just kind of confined to those four walls, for
Mhm.
16 hours a day. You don't really get a chance to get out all that much.
I always say too, it's fun working in supplements because it's in the realm of health and fitness, but it's something that we don't need to see results. We don't need to stay alive, but they're fun and they can really help people depending on the product too.
Yeah. It's just all goes back to the experience. You look at the brands like Ghost and Rise and the other highly successful brands like First Form, for instance, does their big bash every single year. It's a community-based brand, and
Mhm.
that's what we've been trying to build over here, and that's why we do things like our Crush It Fest and stuff like that within it's for our gyms, but it's for our community and brands as well. We did the Nut Bash for years and stuff like that. So it's something that like, yeah, you supplements is just the driver for the other things that fill your bucket, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's people like I've had people say, "Oh man, that product changed my life," and to some people, like literally, like it was literally just a multivitamin. But to that person, that's what they needed to
Mhm.
see those results. And no matter how small the product is, they were able to see massive results from that product in general.
Yeah.
So you're able to change lives in that regard, as opposed to changing lives from a physical standpoint, personal training.
Yeah, a lot of times even supplements are just like the catalyst for change. Sometimes if somebody starts taking a multivitamin, then it's okay, I do this, so let me take better care of my nutrition. Let me go to the gym and do all these things. And even if it's like, oh, I have this tasty protein to look forward to after my workout, or I have this pre-workout that I really enjoy, then it's like the little things that make people more willing to do the things that they need to do consistently.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys have planned for the future, if you could say anything. If not, no worries, I understand. But if you want to give a little bit of a sneak peek into what's coming.
Yeah, so just because there's been some teasers floating around for Core. Core does have a pretty large partnership that isn't quite announced yet. We'll announce it in the next couple weeks, but there have been some teasers floating around as to what that is or what's circling around that. That's been taking up a pretty significant amount of time just to pull everything together. Very fun partnership to work on. It's one that we've been trying to kind of capture for the last 6 years. It was one where it was like they weren't interested in getting in the nutritional space. Now they've not saw I guess softened their stances a little bit, but now they're more open to entering it. So that's super fun. So there's a couple products there that'll be worked on, ones that we'll be able to market to pretty much any age category that you could think of. It will be in some big box retail and things like that. So right now we're just trying to pull all the pieces together and get everything done and make sure we can hit a certain deadline basically. But we'll announce that probably within the next like 3 to 4 weeks, somewhere in that
Yeah.
ballpark. Like I said before, Core has a couple new launches that are coming up. We got obviously the protein every single month. So you guys will see what July's is coming forward. July 4th, we have the oats and whey. So that'll be in 3 flavors that'll come. So this is a mixable overnight oats type product. It tastes really amazing. And if you can use it as a pre-workout, you can use it as a anytime you want to eat oats sort of thing. You don't even have to use it overnight. You could just mix it up with water and eat it as is. But that was a fun one to put together. And then really, as far as that, Core is working on we're dabbling in the functional food space again for Core.
'Tis the season. Everybody's doing it, right? 'Tis
Yeah, I mean,
trending.
pretty far along, but that may potentially launch this year. At least that's the goal and idea. Over the years, it was just like we had our failures in the functional food space for Core between the protein balls. That it's kind of like my first thing in the space. I literally brought that idea here, and I'll own up to it. That was a failure that it probably shouldn't have happened. But like I said, we learned a lot from those types of mistakes and things over the years. And then we had the brownies and stuff like that. So we put ourselves and we're like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit. If we're going to do this, we got to do it right, have the right partner. It's got to be the right execution. It's got to actually compete with other products on the market and stuff like that. So I feel like I won't really give too many details in it, but I feel like we have a product that competes with a lot of those popular functional food bars that are on the market today. So it tastes absolutely amazing. So that's pretty
Super.
much for Core. The biggest thing is those. America isn't really doing a whole lot at the moment. And then Unmatched has some things coming in the latter part of the year. July, we're trying to get out a greens product. So pretty elaborate greens product that took a while to get together and put together and flavor and stuff like that. That's one of those where it's it could really go south pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I can kind of here, I'm just kind of so this is that.
Nice.
So it's all organic. It's got hydration component to it. It's got digestive enzymes. It's got probiotics, that sort of thing. So it fits very in line with Chris's clientele and market. And that one took a little bit to put together. Unmatched has a protein bar that's coming out too. So think of the all the longevity based type bars that are on the market, like Novos and Ben Greenfield's bar and some of the other ones that are there. This will be probably the best tasting longevity based bar on the market.
That's good to hear because
Put
I
it
feel
there.
like a lot of them are not great tasting. They're definitely longevity
Yeah.
bars.
So this is one where it was a good amount of back and forth, and it took me to have to go down to manufacturing, spend a day there, and just go back and forth within their lab of we just need to get this thing done because we can go back and forth for weeks just with the amount of time and the shipping and stuff like that. It's like just let me spend the day there. We'll just go back and forth in the lab, get the flavor right, and then bring it back to the team, and we'll do it that way. But from a flavor standpoint, an experience standpoint, and again, hitting all the things that Chris wants in a bar between it's got to be a certain sugar level, it's got to be a certain amount of protein, it's got to have these are my wants. I feel like we hit all of that. So that'll launch around the Olympia, so like late September, early October. And then what else is there? Oh yeah, the two there's two new pre-workouts that are going to come out. So one is a BH2K revision, and then the other is the Dissident replacement.
Nice.
So the BH2K revision isn't anything too extravagant. Basically, what we did was we took 3D pump out and we just swapped in more citrulline and some betaine. So we improved the experience because the biggest feedback we got on Beach 2K was that it was great, but we had clumping issues, we had some mixability issues, manufacturing issues, stuff like that, to where they would have to pre-blend and then blend again. And it was just something where it just wasn't really a good way to keep moving forward with that product, no matter if we like the ingredient or not. So I feel like we made a better product at the end of the day because we were able to incorporate a couple different things, increase some dosages, and make it a better experience. And then the non-stim is a little bit of a, like I said, that peptide based type of non-stim. And then that kind of takes us through the end of the year. Chris really wants to do a seasonal protein, but it just depends on the like how fast we can get some samples and get it made. Pricing's pretty stable on that, to be honest, at the moment. I'm not too concerned with that. It's more keeping the other flavors around and
Mm.
then getting into next year because it's if regular isolate is seeing an increase, grass-fed isolate is seeing a even harder increase. But that kind of takes us through the rest of the year, at least for Unmatched.
Yeah. A lot of cool stuff. I'm excited about the oats, not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of people that could help benefit them because carbs and protein, it's just like an easy meal to take, and there's really no excuses anymore to not hit your protein goal.
Yeah. So we tried some other ones on the market, but for us, again, Doug's pretty particular. Is I wanted to have this amount of protein, this amount of carbs. He's like, because I'm going to use two packets or I'm going to use two scoops or whatever. I was like, okay. So it's like an 85 or 86 gram scoop. It's not small,
Yeah.
but it's 25 to 27 grams of protein, like 35 grams of carbs. And I think fats are like, they might be under 10 or around 10, something like that. It's like 300 something calories. It's a good meal, but it's got chia seeds in there, it's oats, it's whey concentrate, it's got inclusions in it. It tastes amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's a
So
great
I'm
move,
excited for
especially
people
where
to get it.
everybody's going cream of rice. And you were saying Doug doesn't take cream of rice. So let's do something that actually makes sense for our brand.
Yeah, we thought hard about doing cream of rice. We had gotten samples, we toyed around with it a little bit, and me personally, I was just like, just don't. I'm not a consumer of it. I don't know. Plus, from our athlete perspective, like I said, we have Olympians on our team. We've got Gen Pop and regular athletes, but Jordan Hutchinson, he is sponsored by a cream of rice brand. Like there's a little bit of a little bit of a conflict there. So like I want to make a product that doesn't directly compete with something that he's already promoting because then it's just it's a weird situation. Go, oh, which one do I promote? Yeah. So it made sense for us to do the oats, and to me, it was a little bit easier to execute from that regard. Like I said, I know what I'm working with. I don't have to use hot water. Like when you mix hot water with whey protein and it coagulates and cooks itself, like it just doesn't really work all that good. So you would probably have to use a little bit more expensive of a protein anyway. So there's some
Mhm.
of those things that kind of went into the decision making process. But even then, we did just use a whey concentrate within it. So it was like, yeah, you're going to get the thickness and the texture that you want, and you don't have to use a whey isolate because whey isolate's expensive, and we want to keep it relatively consistent with, say, like one serving is about equivalent to a protein bar. That was our benchmark. But yeah, I think that product's going to do really well, especially for the people that have trouble eating breakfast and they want a easier, faster option. I think it's going to do well.
Absolutely. Awesome. It sounds like you have a lot of great things planned and you've already done so much in the space. Like I said, some of my favorite brands out there, which is why I was so excited to have you on. I'm so glad that Spencer connected us. I know
Yeah.
we're going to continue to work together, so I'm super excited. But for the last thing, if there's somebody who's listening to this who's afraid to take action on something that they want to do, whether it be trying the new job, taking the new opportunity, what would you tell that person? Or even what would you tell your younger self?
I'd say probably listen to your gut a lot sooner because you don't, it's rare that even those opportunities come around a second time. So it's just don't be too quick to say no to opportunities, but before you actually weigh all the options, if it's literally where yeah, I can see myself doing that job that I'm currently in forever, then yeah, probably pass. But if you look at everything, you look at where you're at, look at what your future is. I know 120% that I couldn't do that job now just with a kid and having my wife at home and stuff like that. I just wouldn't be able to have that lifestyle. I can't wake up at 2 a.m. and get home at 9. I wouldn't be able to see them at all. So it it may be like you may have hesitations because you're like, oh man, the money's great. It's there, but there's always money that's going to be there. And if you have to take a little bit of a pay cut and then you have to work your way up. Like I started at the bottom of the brand, like customer service for arms race. And it's funny, it's a brand we don't have anymore and stuff like that. But you work your way up, you're consistent with it, you keep the same hardworking mentality. And yeah, we do work outside of working hours and stuff like that. It wasn't anything that wasn't accustomed to, but it all comes back around. And you have to enjoy what you're doing at the end of the day. So if you can't see yourself going to that job every single day with the same excitement that you had when you first started, maybe it's time to look for something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's saying like you have to do the same exact job forever, but you can't make those decisions too fast. But like I said, it's very rare that certain opportunities come around a second time. And it was like what's the worst that could happen? I could not like it and I could go back to training. But if I don't even at least give it a chance, then you're probably doing your own self a disservice.
Yeah, amen to that. Thanks, Dave, for being on. And for everybody listening, go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.